this is your host, Julia Napini. I am a clinical and forensic social worker who owns a counseling practice and a consulting business. In this show, we discuss the challenges of being successful in business while maintaining your integrity and staying true to yourself. Join me while I interview other professionals and share insights from life and experience. Let's talk about RingRx, our latest sponsor. RingRx is a high-quality, HIPAA-compliant telephone, text, and fax communications platform. They provide seamless, cost-effective communications for behavioral therapists, medical practices, hospitals, and other healthcare providers. RingRx is designed for modern healthcare environments. They offer customizable features like a phone app, automated patient outreach, voicemail, after-hours call routing, and top-quality desk phones. Try RingRx for free today at ringrx.com. And if you sign up using the code CLIMB, you'll get 15% off your monthly bill forever. Conditions apply. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Compassionate Climb podcast. This is going to be an exciting episode for you all. I have somebody on here today who I met through one of the clinicians in my practice. I was looking for somebody to do headshots for my team, and she came highly recommended. I saw her work. I was very impressed. And then I found out that not only is she a photographer, but she's also a therapist and a soon-to-be foster mom. And when I learned more about her story, when we spent the entire afternoon together waiting for all of our clinicians to show up and take their photos, I really enjoyed her energy, and I wanted to share her story with you all because it's a fun one. So EmilyWhetstone, thank you for being on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. And we really did spend the whole afternoon together.
We did. I was bonding. But you know what? I didn't hate it.
Yeah. Got to sit in the grass, enjoy the sun.
Yep, you were a great time. I had you take the Enneagram test, learned your
That's
number.
Right, I did. Mm-hmm. What was I, a 2?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate
Which is common for therapists, actually.
It is common? Well, it was helper, right?
It sure was.
Well, I mean, that definitely connects.
Yeah, it resonates for sure. So One of the things that I loved the most about your story was that not only could you relate, obviously, to the mental health world, but you took this other passion that came out of, as I'm sure you'll tell the listeners, your fascination and interest in photographing your pets, and then that just has evolved from there. And then we talked about your travels and how this has really become this dual business that you've been rocking. So tell us your story. Give us some background.
Oh, man. So I started school going in to be a teacher, which, by the way, another helping profession. I don't think I've ever done anything that's not a helping profession. Maybe serving tables, but you're still helping people. So you know what? It counts. But I went in for that and got super into art and switched my major. Not a ton to do with that major, and eventually did my master's for counseling and art therapy, which was a really fun route to learn a little bit more about including art in therapy.
Yes.
So photography is a whole other story because I just made an Instagram for my dog because I was a new dog mom. I have never had a dog. I had never had a dog or cat, so like getting a dog was the most life-altering, like coolest thing I could do. And that is Cooper, who is in the background of the video. Oh, God. I'm so sorry.
Nothing to apologize for, you know? He's keeping it real.
He's just taking care of things. I apologize. There's Cooper. That was not something I posted on Instagram of him, but basically everything else I did. Okay. So it started with making an Instagram for him, which got popular for the stupidest thing. I would take pictures of him pooping in scenic places, like in the distance. Yeah, you didn't know this. So it would be called, his name is Cooper. It was called a Coo-Poop. And it would not, you can't see it. It would be in the distance, like a gorgeous beach, and in the distance you can see him squatting. Or like in the woods, or in this like fun scenic place. By the Statue of Liberty is a classic. But that like gained followers, and it made me want to get better at taking pictures, because that's like before Reels. This was like 2018, 2019. Okay. So I decided to, first I got an iPhone with portrait mode, because that seemed like photography. It seemed pretty cool. I eventually learned that it wasn't. And during COVID, graduated. I mean, it is, but it's not the same. I graduated to my first like DSLR camera and decided to take pictures of my dog and my cat for Instagram to be like, I'm growing my business. I'm doing advertising with it now. Like, and that business was Instagram pet land. And I decided to offer to take portraits of people with their pets, which I still love to do. I think it's very special. But I quickly learned I really like taking pictures of people.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a combination of you can't be in a helping profession and not like people.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess you can, you shouldn't. I really like people. So I found like connecting that and being able to work with people in such intimate ways when you get into like engagement sessions and getting to know them and customizing it to who they are, making them comfortable. Like a lot of the skills from therapy kind of transferred into photography. So I got to combine like that art brain and clinical brain, not too clinical with photography clients, but some of those skills still and make it into, I mean, now I'm doing every once in a while headshots, like what I did for you guys, but it's a lot of like family sessions in their home doing their day-to-day routine. So it's about making them comfortable and feel like they can be themselves to get these really authentic photos or like engagement pictures, weddings. It's just been like such a fun way to combine two loves into one thing, and it kind of fell into my lap. Like it was not my intent at all. I actually remember saying very specifically, because of my own anxiety, that I would never photograph weddings. And yeah, I'm in a very, very different place now.
Look at you now.
That's like all I do. I had 3 weddings last weekend because I'm Emily a year and a half ago planned too much. But yeah, I love weddings now. It was just working through my own stuff to be able to do it and work with the pressure. But they're like the most wonderful, intimate, emotional day. Like it's all the stuff in one. It's awesome.
Oh. And you get to be such a meaningful part of it. And I saw one that you shared with me the other day in a skate park and the dog and the paw on the hands. I mean, the creativity. So what I loved about what I saw, so not only did you get such rave reviews from Amanda, one of our clinicians who knows you personally, who you had also done a headshot for that I saw and was beautiful, but when I was browsing your Instagram, I felt like I knew these people, even though I didn't. You truly capture their essence, and you get them in these moments that seem candid, but it's the smile, it's the look, it totally gets conveyed. So
I love to hear that because that's the goal. Like, you know, you make your website to try to express your goal to the client that you hope will hire you, and that's always my goal, is to be like, I want it to feel authentic. Like when you look at these pictures, it's just like, oh, that's what I look like. Like, and I feel like it's almost therapeutic for some people. I've worked with people who might be nervous about something about how they are physically, and when they get their photos, they're like, you made me feel beautiful. And that's like the coolest feeling on the planet, to know you made someone who was not feeling good about themselves see themselves from your perspective and get that, like, capture their personality in a way that makes them see it. Because in the mirror, we don't see what other people see. So this kind of like gives that opportunity, and I feel like it shows people like, look how in love you are, or look how beautiful you are, or look at how your family looks when you're just living your day-to-day life. It's just the coolest thing. I feel very lucky to do it.
Always look back on and absolutely capturing a moment in time. But I also got to live it. So spending that afternoon with you and seeing every member of my team come one right after the other, you immediately put them at ease. You connected with every single one of them. And you had poses that you had them do that, you know, there was bound to be something that worked for everyone. And then I saw the finished product, and we were so proud to be able to share that for marketing and on the website, and everybody was happy. So I just thought that it would be such a great thing. I'm hearing the commonalities between the two professions, but they're so different. So putting people at ease, making them feel comfortable, we need that in the therapy room, right? We want
from day one.
Yeah, like that therapeutic alliance. So that's one major commonality. Obviously, liking people is a huge bonus. What else do you think has really helped you be so good at this? Because this is still a newer venture for you, and you're knocking it out of the park. So what are some other skills that you feel you took from the therapy world?
From therapy?
Yeah.
I think, without like sounding like I'm tooting my own horn, because that's not my intention, but I do think like a lot of us are naturally able to pick up on other people's personality or energy or comfort level without much effort. And I feel like luckily that's a gift I have where I am very comfortable with strangers and new people, clearly. And I feel like I'm good at reading people's either body language or how they're speaking, just all of those different things. And that's something that I think therapy hones in on, and it's really helped me build that skill. So I definitely pulled that from therapy.
Yeah.
I think just the ability to get to know someone fairly quickly and break the awkward barrier of like, oh, hey, we're strangers. Like, that is another therapy skill. Like, you got, like, first session, you're digging into everything. Like, that intake, you're getting into their whole history. So I feel like I'm very comfortable. I went from, I mean, I was working at Butler Hospital in Providence, Rhode Island for a while, in their cognitive behavioral therapy partial hospital program, where I would be doing intakes. I would meet someone day one, have to go over every single detail of their history the first hour I knew them, and then work with them doing daily therapy for a week to 2 weeks before I would discharge them. And I had to learn, like, how do I get that therapeutic rapport in a day? Like, I don't have months to build it. We're doing this in a 5 to 10 days. So, like, how are we going to build that? And I think that's just a skill that I honed in on through that practice.
Absolutely.
And it helps with photography a lot, too.
Yes. Oh, I can totally see that. So you clearly have an entrepreneurial spirit. Can you speak to that? I mean, having these two successful businesses, balancing them both, what has that experience been like?
That's a great question. I am deeply in need of a CPA, which I have now for this year. I am fully in my both businesses. It's time. So I would say tax wise, like, that's not the part of my brain that functions best. I'm great at the people. I'm great at the art and the talking. The paperwork, not so much. So we're working on that with somebody. But outside of that, I think it's, I don't even know how it happened. I don't even know how to explain it, because I went from getting this master's in counseling to knowing I wanted a private practice eventually. But the photography kind of came to me. That wasn't in the plan at all. I feel like I went into it just doing it for fun, and it's become the best way to balance things. And for my own mental health, I know I have ADHD. I know I experience anxiety. I think that the balance of the two businesses has actually been better for my functioning.
Wow.
Just because I think if I was doing therapy full-time 5 days a week, I don't know the listening energy and the helper energy I'd have left, where I feel like the photography, they build me up and pull me in different ways. So I don't know about the entrepreneurial, I can't even say the word, entrepreneurial.
Entrepreneurial, I know, it's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
You're doing it, and you're doing it successfully, but so much of it, not that I want to minimize at all, but it's clearly how you make people feel. They feel comfortable with you, they trust you, and that has helped in both businesses. And the other stuff can come in time. You can eventually hire people that can take care of the things that aren't necessarily within your wheelhouse. That doesn't have to be a deterrent.
You would know. I mean, I feel like I went into it where, like when it came to quitting my job, I'm sure there were, like, everyone I know was silently like, dear God, why? Like, why would you leave your day job? I know I had people being like, what about insurance? What about this? And I was like, I could pay for insurance. Like, I'll make money. I mean, I'm paying for insurance here too. They really help. At the end of the day, I don't pay that much more outside of being there or a full-time job than I do on my own. But there are just so many factors that people made me really nervous. But I don't know if this is off topic. When I talk about things falling into my lap, I basically love to travel. And obviously working a full-time job made that really difficult, like dealing with sicker vacation days. COVID happened. I was out 3 weeks. I was so sick. Like, I lost all of my vacation days and everything. So working for someone else, that's what you end up with. And it's like, you have to work. There's not an option to have unpaid vacation. Like, you have to work if you don't have the days. Right. And I really just kept wanting to leave. I felt like my mental health, I was burning out. Working in the hospital system through a pandemic was not super fun. No. All like we had the, was it KN95s? Is that what it was? Yeah, KN95 masks with a face shield or face, like, goggles. So our clients couldn't even see our faces. It was just really rough, and I was burning out. So one morning, it was 7 a.m. I was getting ready to go to work, and I got this email because I'm tracking flights because that's who I am. And it was just like, oh, here's this flight to Florence, Italy, $400 round trip. And it was in like 4 or 5 months. And I remember that morning, I was like, I could book this right now, but this is me leaving my job because they will never approve me to go for 2 weeks. It's never going to happen. So if I like hit the payment button, I have to quit. There's no more like
on your fate.
There's no more waiting because I feel like so many of us have been in that position where you're in a job where your mental health is suffering, but it feels like you have to keep doing it, or there's so many reasons we don't leave jobs. But I was like, you know what? I will just do it and go for it. I took like one test client almost immediately that I would do virtual with, and then I started taking clients to start May 1st. So my trip was like April 15th, and it was like, I'm just going to be a private practice therapist when I get back and I'll figure it out, which is, again, having the photography helped make that possible because I knew I had weddings coming up. I started building that. Yeah.
Have you ever regretted your decision?
Not really. No, I thought I might. Like, I remember when I hit 1 year, which would have been like May 1st, maybe April 15th, depending on if you go by the quit date or the new start date. But that, when the year went by, I think I texted probably my mom or dad or something, and was like, hey, I still pay my bills and like live in my apartment. Who knew that would be there in a year? Because honestly, I fully went into it knowing like I might go back to my job. Like, I love the people I worked with at Butler. So it was really more of the pandemic than the program that was the problem. But yeah, I was like fully ready to know this could be temporary. I stayed on per diem to keep a foot in the door, but I stopped doing that. Like, it's just, I don't know, it just kind of worked out, which is shocking with my money skills and all of the tax stuff, but somehow we're still here. So
and travel you have. So share with us some of your adventures and how you weave this in and do it as creatively as you do.
So the first year, I probably went travel crazy because I was just like, I could do whatever I want. Like, no one's going to tell me what to do. So I joined a website that helps you find like pretty cheap flights. That keeps you really it's really flexible. Well, you have to be flexible, not the flights. And I just started booking things. So I feel like it kind of started with obviously the trip to Italy. I have a lot of connections to Italy. I studied abroad there, and being back there was the most like, I can't even explain. It's like the feeling of going home. It's just like, I loved it there, that city so much. And it just constantly kept adding like wood to the fire of like, okay, I want to travel more. So I think between May of 2022 and 2023, which is insane as I'm thinking about this right now, because I think my last trip was in May that was international. So since then I did Italy, Utah, Colorado. I did a road trip. I went to Denmark and Sweden. I went to England and France. That might be all of it, but it might not. I don't know. I just made ways to make it work, especially locally. So if I were in the U.S., I can still do some versions of therapy sessions. If while I was abroad, I didn't do that, but I did like, I've used Facebook and Instagram and different things to like advertise to people in other countries to try to get paid to do photography while I travel. Like, actually, very luckily, right before we met, I got an email and it was this name. I'm like, who the heck is that? So I clicked on it and I forgot I had done an Instagram ad for while I'm in Spain, which is a week from today, which is crazy. But yeah, I had someone reach out about a family session in this like gorgeous part of the island of Tenerife, which I'm going to be at. So I'm going to hopefully book that and make a little money. And you can also write off flights when you're working. So there are a lot of little tips and tricks, I think, that help with the travel piece. But you do have to be pretty flexible. Like, I have a pet sitter on board, but I know we talked about, like, I'm going to be fostering people soon. So, like, that's going to be a...
Awesome.
Buddy. That's going to be something that's going to impact my ability to travel for a little while, which is something I'm okay with. Like, I've accepted that. the same way I accepted, like, maybe if I quit my job, I might go back soon. Like, I'm accepting travel's probably going to take a little bit of a break. And that's okay.
We've all gotten a crash course in riding the wave and knowing that the unexpected can happen at any moment, and we got to roll with it. And life is definitely better when we don't live in fear of that happening.
Exactly.
We clearly embraced it.
Right. I can't tell you how many people with the foster care. I feel like I've said this to people before, but all of the things I do that are like maybe hyper independent or like a little scary, that so many people are like, you sure? Like, why? And have so many questions are like the what ifs, which I'm a pretty anxious person, but apparently I dive into that kind of stuff. And I don't know what it is. But
a big question that I would have for you. So a lot of our listeners would be those people that might be where you were when you were still working at the hospital, and they are considering private practice or starting a business, and the idea overwhelms them. And will it be successful? And maybe a scarcity mindset. Will I have enough referrals? Will I be able to pay my bills? Is it really the right move? Because a lot of us really bank on and appreciate security. And so what would you tell those people now, over a year later, looking back?
I would say, sorry, he's just, what? Oh my God.
Lovely look.
So cute. Sorry. I would say the same way you were just like, we have to ride the wave and go into not knowing how things are going to go is a big part of it. I think, like you said earlier, being able to recognize, like, I might not be able to do the whole thing myself, and I'm probably going to need help with things was part of it. Like, I do know a lot of therapists who do all of their own billing, all of their own insurance, and I told myself I was going to take courses to do the same because I could save money if I did.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I just don't think that was right for me. And I think you also have to know your strengths and weaknesses, because my strength is connecting with people. I can bring in clients, I can do therapy, but I need to get paid. And my strength is not understanding stuff like that. So I found, like, being open to accepting help to start. Maybe one day I will want to do my own insurance to make more, or maybe I won't because I don't want to do the extra. I think being open to it not being what you expected at first, because I did not go into it planning to hire anybody, and that made a huge difference. I found it was helpful to have a client or two and do some outpatient therapy before I left my job, just to remind myself, like, oh yeah, I could do this, because I was in a hospital system, and I was like, all right, and this is how Psychology Today works. And let me get, like, a little bit of an EMR built. Like, I want to have my medical record system set up before I think about leaving. Do some research on what that'll look like for me was pretty important. Like, I got all set up with everything before I left.
Okay.
Paperwork. Like, building paperwork for your business. I did all of that before I left the job.
Smart. So the key things would be that it is okay either way. If you ultimately want to bootstrap and wear all the hats and do your thing, nothing wrong with that. But it's perfectly fine and sometimes preferable to hire people because they may actually do a better job. And
I'm positive they did.
Right?
There's no question.
Yeah. And then the other piece is you did the prep. So you did your homework, you got your paperwork situated, you knew what you were going to use for your electronic health record, and so you took care of a lot of the logistics and then had a few trial clients just to make sure that this was the right thing. What would you say as words of advice for someone who might be on the fence? Maybe they have some ideas, some visions, they are contemplating taking the leap into business ownership, and they're nervous. What would you tell them?
Build your community, I think. Like, I found therapy specific to start. I had a lot of therapists, friends I made through the hospital system have some of their own businesses. And even if you don't know people, I think a lot of people who have been in your place are happy to help you if you reach out to local therapists who have done it. Like, build that community, whether it's a Facebook group, I don't know why Facebook group is the only thing coming to my mind, but you know, this
group.
Absolutely. Like, find people who have been through it, who are on your team, who will have advice and help you through the stuff that you'll want someone with experience to help you with. I think do your research before you make the move. Like, if the trip to Italy was in 2 weeks and I had done that, I would have come home making no money.
Right.
And that would have been an issue. I really had to like get my ducks in a row by that little date I forced myself into, which was a good thing. It's just funny how I did it. But I think the community is a big thing, because also like I have my old boss, who I totally adore, who also has her own private practice now, just went to Italy for like a week or two or something, and she relied on like other therapists from our crew, who we've kind of created a little community for ourselves. We even like had therapist hangouts to just discuss private practice, discuss clients, like have our own, like discuss how we bring people in, just have like a little bit of a support group for us, to, where was it going with that? My own brain. Sorry. That they were able to step in and help cover her clients, so that like she didn't have to have her clients without help for a week. Like it doesn't have to be that scary. We can find ways to like help each other out, because you are not the only one trying to do it. The same way when we're trying to get our license, we're all like, what did you study? What did you do? It's that same feeling of like camaraderie, maybe, of just like, I think private practice for me was the goal. I think it is for a lot of people. So finding other people who are into that, you can do it as a team. I mean, just finding some support so you don't feel like you are clueless and alone would be my biggest. Because those moments I felt clueless before I hired someone for insurance, it was just not fun. I think like do your research, know your strengths, build your community are probably the top three. But you've also opened your own, so I'm sure you have insight on that as well. But those are three that come to my mind.
Yeah, no, it's so helpful, because all of the things that you're identifying would be the top things that are on my list as well. And so I don't think it matters what industry you're in to promote longevity and weather the storm and stay the course. Yeah, it's support, it's team, it's accepting help, and it's really staying in your zone of genius and knowing, like you said, your strengths and the things that you're not so great at, and everything's figure outable, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a barrier.
Anything, like I feel like this sounds like something I would say if I had more money, which I don't, but like you can hire someone for anything if you need to. And I'm not saying I'm here like, who's going to come dust my cat's bed? I don't know. As I don't know if you can see, they're both in there together, but it's something like knowing that it's okay if you don't know how to do something, and it's cool to hire someone or ask for help where you need it. And it's the same with photography too. It's that, like you said, it doesn't matter the field you're in. I just think that's how it is. Like I met people through Instagram. Same, honestly, with the pet Instagram thing. If I hadn't like found community, I wouldn't have connected with brands, and I wouldn't have gotten into the photography. Like all of that stuff built off of like community and connections with other people, whether it's pets, photography, therapy. It's kind of that same theme.
I love it. Well, it's great tips. So I'm going to continue to live vicariously through you. Anybody who's not following you should. What is the best way for people to get in touch if they are interested in obviously utilizing you, booking you for photography, or interested in working with you for counseling?
Great question. So I have a profile on Psychology Today, Whetstone Counseling Services. It's just if you looked up EmilyWhetstone Counseling, you'd probably find me. In terms of the photography, the name's a little silly now to me, because I have so many people go, oh my God, is it you? Because it is EEW for Emily. My middle initial is E, and Whetstone Photography. For me, that was kind of like, I don't know if I wanted necessarily all of my hospital clients looking me up by name and finding like my other business. I kind of felt the need to keep it separate when I was in the hospital system. But it's my name now because people know it. So it is EEW Photography. That's like the name of the website. That's the Instagram. It's all there. I've been on a social media hiatus for a little bit, but I plan to be back on in time for Spain, because I know it's important to share the trips, because come on, it's
so, as much as I completely respect someone taking a break, you've been missed. So, looking forward to your return.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I posted a good amount. I forget how much we were communicating on Instagram before.
Yeah, no,
I'll get on there. You'll see the cool Airbnbs and stuff I found. I was supposed to like swim with sea turtles or something. Like, it's gonna be good times.
Well, I hope you have a fabulous trip. Best of luck in this new journey of foster parenting. I'm going to stay tuned. Yeah, and thanks for sharing all of the hot scoop and the tips.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
If you like what you're hearing, please rate and review. This will help others find us and benefit as well.
The Compassionate Climb podcast represents the opinions of Julia Napini and her guests. The information provided is intended for educational purposes only and should not be taken as legal advice. If that is what you are seeking, please consult an attorney.